That's a thing that we have to deal with as actors too, is, people aren't meaning to be disrespectful of what you're doing. But on sets, there's often times when there's a lot of noise or chaos, and we have to learn to use it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Talent Agent Talk, where we are bringing you educational lessons and behind-the-scenes true life stories about film and TV. I'm your host, Jason Lockhart, a talent agent, and today our special guest is Charlene Amoia. Hi, Charlene.
Hi, Jason.
It's so great to have you here in your 100-plus credits,
Oh, man, thank you. It's a blessing to be here, and what a great day we've had already.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about your, extensive career, is there any booking that has a pretty significant lesson that you learned or something that you went through that might be educational for our viewers and helped your own career?
Absolutely. I think different bookings come with different lessons, but the one that comes to mind was something that emotionally really meant something to me in my life because I was going through a very hard time in 2016. My mother had passed away, and then my grandma died, and my stepbrother died, and my grandpa died, all in a year. And I was just really heartbroken and raw and sad, and to a degree that I had never felt before. And it really was going on daily for a couple of years. This pain that I was living with, and I get this audition. And it's for The Resident. And it's a role where the character gets shot in the heart by a drive-by shooting and has a hole in her heart. And the doctors sew it up. It's called a purse string suture. And the heart heals and it's good as new. And in this story, my son is named Daniel, and my husband is named Gabriel, and then my character's name is Bobby, which is just kind of like a different name for a woman to have. And Bobby is my mom's name.
Wow.
So my mother's name was Roberta, but went by Bobby her whole life. And whenever I get a script or a role, I ask myself, why this part? Why now in my life? And I related to this woman who has a physical hole in her heart. And I felt like I'd been walking around with a hole in my heart for a couple years now. And I just knew when I did this role, they were going to stitch up her heart and she was going to heal. And I knew that was going to be the end of my suffering. I don't know how I knew that. It's just kind of like the spiritual thing. But I'm telling you, I did that week on The Resident, and that pain that I was walking around with for 2 years ended when I was done. And I guess the lesson is I even asked the writer, why did you name this character Bobby? It just seemed like an interesting choice for a woman. And it didn't really, the other names kind of, I always do research on names as well. What are the meanings of the names, things like that. So Daniel and Gabriel had meanings that kind of matched up, and then Bobby was just kind of this random thing. So the lesson being that I just feel like that role was really, I felt, meant for me. And I do believe sometimes there are just certain roles that are meant for you. It was very significant for my healing and the hardest time of my life. And we go in as actors wanting every job, and sometimes it's ours, and sometimes it just isn't. And it really made me see that from my experience with the one that really was.
I got another lesson out of that too. And that's that there were probably maybe 100 women that auditioned for the role. And I bet there were at least 5 or 6 that were really, really strong, that probably felt like they had a good shot.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you don't get the role, it's not because you didn't crush the audition, but look what you're up against. You're up against someone who's identifying that this role is them. There are so many reasons to not get a role. Mm-hmm. And it's so beyond control, but it's never a knock on a strong audition. You're just losing it out to someone else who has potentially a life-changing experience waiting for them with this booking.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
Crazy. You can't compete with that. The other actresses couldn't compete with that.
Yeah. It felt like it was a metaphysical thing.
Did you go into the audition differently? Or is there anything you did to prepare? Do you remember decisions you made?
No, honestly, even in the audition, I don't think that was her name in the audition. So I didn't even know in the audition. And it was a self-tape. So it wasn't until I got the script that I was like putting all these pieces together. And I was like, whoa, this means a lot to me.
What was it like being on set and like working with everyone? Is there anybody in particular that you really enjoed being around?
Oh, that was funny because I was on the bed, getting surgery. And then there's a point where they tell me my son is, he got injured as well in the shooting. And I tear up and I'm upset about that. But I was on this bed most of the time. Like I didn't get off the bed for like 8 hours. And there, like some of the nurses, the characters playing the nurses and like the stand-ins and stuff, they were joking a lot. Like they were doing these weird noises and they were just like cracking up, making all like having so much fun. And I'm in my head like staying in this place. Like I have all this weight in this moment as this character and as myself. And that's a thing that we have to deal with as actors too, is, people aren't meaning to be disrespectful of what you're doing. But on sets, there's often times when there's a lot of noise or chaos, and we have to learn to use it instead of pull us out. And so I was like, I just used it. I'm like, all these people don't care about me, in my head.
Smart.
And just victimized myself even more because that's what I was in the moment. And it worked. It helped.
Do you remember how you felt when you booked it or like where you were at the time?
Yeah, I do remember where I was. I was in an acting class, actually. I was in a Meisner class in LA. And I got the text and I was like, right, booking my flight.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
I love that. And I've seen some of the clips from it. I mean, like the work was very strong.
Oh, thank you.
But now it has so much more meaning.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that story.
Absolutely.
Can you think like, obviously you've got an ongoing career and it's going to keep going. Is there a role that you haven't done or something that you're really excited and hope to do one day, like a dream role or just something along those lines?
Yeah, I am a big fan of Jack Black, which I just love him. He's just so funny and goofy and silly, and I love big physical comedy. So I just think I want a dream role would be to be able to be paired alongside Jack Black. I mean, I love his music. My cousin and I used to just sing his songs together, and I just love him. And he doesn't take anything too seriously. He brings the light in any given place, and just seems like somebody you want to be around.
That's great. I hope you're hearing this, Jack, because we're going to hashtag and probably tag you in this so that you can reach out. And yes, I'm her agent now. You'll be able to contact me and we will get you working together.
I know that he shoots here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's try and make that happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by and being a guest on our show. As a little token of thanks, what if I were to tell you that you won a free car today?
Are you Oprah?
So in this bag, this is a bag from my boss. Says, "May the force be with you."
Oh my
she
goodness!
Randomly thought of me. Watch the mic, but
okay.
Feel free to reach in there without looking and grab a car.
In Oprah, they have the keys under the seat, right?
They make it easy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness!
What'd you get?
Red. It's my favorite color.
A van?
Hey.
Which one is that?
I don't know. You probably know better than I do.
The 1986 Toyota van.
1986. Perfect. Love the 80s. And like I said, I'm a big fan of red. So come on. Perfect.
Perfect. And yeah, matches your sweater.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again for being here. To all of our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Jesse Malinowski and Get Seen Studios for producing Talent Agent Talk. And if you would like to be a guest on this show and have an exciting booking story or educational lesson from set, feel free to pitch it to us. The email is talentagenttalk@gmail.com. Again, that is talentagenttalk@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing your inspiring stories and success, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks again, Charlene.
Thanks again so much for watching. And if you loved that story and were interested to learn more about the casting office that actually cast that show, then I have some really cool news because our sister show, Get Seen Unscripted actually had them on the show. So you'll see it right here. Do not miss that episode. Over an hour on one-on-one with that casting director, talking about things that they like, don't like, to help give you the edge in your next audition. So thanks again so much for tuning in and watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.